Something the great construction content, but if you cover design about it, then it's. Yeah. Something like this. In fact.
Kelly, you ready? Welcome everybody to our special town meeting. Kelly, could you call roll, please?
Okay, Commissioner Cassidy? Here. Vice Mayor Foss?
Here.
And Mayor Pugh.
Here. All right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Any deletions, modifications to the agenda?
Motion to accept the agenda as is.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries. Public comment. Hearing none, public comment closed. Moving on to the approval of the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So
I move yeah.
Yeah.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, motion carries. All right, on to the regular agenda items, the approval of unity of control for the Ocean Club of Florida and Edwards Ocean Ridge LLC.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Christy Yao on behalf of the Town of Ocean Ridge. This is a request to modify a previously executed approval for the unity of control for the Ocean Club of Florida, Inc. and Edwards Ocean Ridge LLC. As you may recall, previously the Town Commission approved a major development application for the property at 6855 North Ocean Boulevard. That's the one that's owned by Edwards Ocean Ridge LLC. As a condition of that approval, they were required to enter the unity of control with the Ocean Club. That was executed. The unity of control outlined the process that was being contemplated at that time in terms of Edwards starting its redevelopment first. As you may recall, at the last meeting, you approved the major redevelopment for the Ocean Club. Thus, the Ocean Club has requested a change to the unity of control because now the Ocean Club will be starting its approved redevelopment first, and then Edwards may redevelop. So the changes to the unity of control as proposed by the applicant, the Ocean Club, is to first identify the new development plan so that the Ocean Club will be redeveloped first. And then to also allow for and make it clear that the unity of control will apply to future redevelopment between the two properties, subject obviously to the Town Commission approval. So I've reviewed the proposed unity of control. I find it legally sufficient, and the motion is to recommend approval of the same.
Any questions?
And I believe we have Harvey Orier, who represents Ocean Club, who's present here too.
So the unity of control that we approved before, that doesn't continue with any future owner of the Edwards property, 6855?
It will. So what's going to happen is that the first unity of control that was done was never recorded because Edwards hasn't moved forward with its redevelopment. So what will happen now is the new unity of control will be executed and will be recorded before Ocean Club moves forward. That will bind both property owners to the unity of control, so that essentially what it does is it removes the internal boundary between the two properties so that they don't have setbacks between the two properties. And it also recognizes the existing cross-access easement that they have. So it will remain binding on the two parties. The only way it can be modified, amended, or terminated was that they'd have to come back before the Town Commission for approval to do so.
So it doesn't really affect our life. Right?
We make no motion. Oh, public comment.
Probably a related comment, because I asked this question at a previous meeting. How long do they expect these projects to go on? And one person said 2 years and one person said more like 3 years. So we would have the one project starting And then whenever they're finished, the other ones could catch up, or they're gonna start again, so you're talking maybe 6-year process. I mean, does anyone have any idea if they're gonna establish what they call a critical path method, where people know what's going on from step to step, not the inspections of the project?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, I think that they're gonna build the Ocean Club, and right now I don't believe any plans to build anything there. You know, they're selling the property, so that could be years down the road before they build something there.
Exactly. It'd be better if they didn't do it
Yeah,
together.
I mean, you like that
In
open
my
space.
opinion. But we don't have any way as a public to know what the process is. And
I
how
mean, there
long,
is a
how long it's
time
gonna
limit
take.
on permitting.
Can we get them to come in here every now and then and tell us what's going on? Okay,
They said October 2028, they'd be finished, the Ocean Club.
yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. Any other public comment? All right, back to the commission. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the unity of control as revised for the Ocean Club in Edwards.
Second,
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion
Can I-
carries.
can I add one thing here? Harvey Oyer? So when I first moved here in 1985, I got insurance. Was that your granddad, your dad?
My father.
It was your father. Right on Ocean Ave
Yeah,
there.
right there, next
Next
to
to
the
Airplane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Says. Yeah, yeah. He was very nice, by the way. He was great. Yeah. Yeah, he probably did yours, Betty.
All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda. Proof of resolution 2026. This would be Christie again, you?
Well, I think this one's gonna be,
Kelly.
Oh, Michelle.
it's gonna be me. Yes, thank you, Mayor and Vice Mayor, Commissioner Cassidy. So this is an item that I have a PowerPoint presentation to move through. I'll do it quickly for you. And in essence, the Florida's private provider statute, section 553.791, has undergone several amendments, and especially in this last couple of months, it seems like. So the new legislation that the state is rolling down to us is asking to be in effect as of July 1st, 2026. So in an effort for us to make sure we have minimal compliance as we move forward, I'm bringing you tonight something where I'm asking you to do a couple of motions to insert new private provider fees, as well as a new methodology for our permit collection, and just some additional information. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so if you want to take a look at your screen, there's actually two House bills that we are looking to be in compliance with. It's HB 399 and 803. And the provisions that I've highlighted here on the screen are the ones that are effective July 1st, which we are looking to satisfy. One is being inspection fees may no longer be assessed based on project valuation. The second one is mandatory fee reductions must be in place when private providers perform plan review or inspections. Restrictions on additional administration fees need to be are restricted and tied to private providers. And lastly, permit exemptions for certain residential projects under 7,500. And we'll get into those details. There are further provisions that they're asking for to be in effect by January 1st. And so tonight and in these first couple of weeks of July, what you'll have is an imperfect model. I'll tell you that right now. And that's what's happening throughout Florida. And I've spoken to quite a few managers just today alone, as everyone's trying to get as perfect as possible. But I think what we'll do is continue the work in progress together and keep bringing it back to you. And we're going to monitor the amount of revenue that comes in versus the amount of expenses that are occurring. And mid-year, I would expect at least by mid-year, if not before, we'll come back to you and potentially true up or true down. So if we're really seeing a drain and not enough revenue coming in, there may be a time where we have to ask you to consider rates or just raising more fees on some of the construction costs,
On the ones we can, is that?
the ones that we can. But if we can move in a direction where we don't have to do that, we definitely will. Mike is here from our third-party building official, Hybert, and he's been actively working with me all day today, as well as I have Danielle, who's, as you know, the BSA guru. And Kelly, all three of us today. And so we've had great conversations and we've had conflicting conversations is what I would say. And then reaching out to Christy for clarification and speaking to other managers because it's so complicated. And I'd like to give you a good, for instance, an example before we even move on. And that would be, we started to pull, what would it cost with today's fee schedule versus what we are looking to move forward and adopt based on what the state is requiring. So we did a simple pool permit, and pulling a pool permit with today's fees versus what we're initially adopting is about a $900 difference. So $900 less.
Less.
Yes, less. Right. And the intent of the legislature is really to make sure that we are as close as possible to covering our expenses, but not making money. And it's been the history of the town not to make money, as you know. This is a very conservative town. You haven't raised your permit fees, and gosh, I don't know how long. It's been quite a while. I couldn't even find it. And so we don't anticipate doing that. We just need to make sure that we are accounting for everything correctly. And so this year in the budget, what you'll see is instead of just having the one fund of 001, we're also going to have funds, GL numbers that start with 101, which will then track all building expenses, building department expenses specifically, so that we can, from day one, from October 1st, know exactly where the funds are coming and going with building department without having to do too much of the journal entry, which is what we do now. It still makes its way and balances out, as you know, from the audits, but it's going to be a little easier at a glance to understand it. Okay, we can move forward now.
So I don't know, did you see that story this week? I think it was based on the Wall Street Journal. Mike could probably know this. The average cost of building a house in America was like $450,000 roughly. Of that 450, 134,000 was fees and permits and regulations. Isn't that mind-boggling?
Wow.
That is.
Yeah, that's
Not-
across the country.
Right, not
Yeah.
here.
Oh, California.
Yeah.
So
in New
if
York.
it's $900 less for that example that you gave us, what percentage of the project cost is that? Like what, if you apply that to across the board? what
It's
would-
different for each. It's different for each, and that's what makes it so complicated is I can't come through, but the simplification that they're trying to offer is by utilizing, and as we go through, I'll show you the ICC methodology, and that is a nationally recognized methodology for calculating what you should be bringing in. And so that's what the state's intent is to create uniformity. And so they're allowing towns to create uniformity by using the applications that they're creating. So we'll all be using the same applications. And then as well as trying to follow the same models and how to collect fees. I think at the end of the day, what you'll find are more cities and towns will look more like what we've been doing versus us looking like something different.
All right.
Does that sound right, Mike? I'm looking back at Mike to make sure. Okay. But you got to talk into the
Mike, you can come
microphone.
all the way up.
So what they want is, they want to say, I'm going to Ocean Ridge, I'm building a house. There you go. I'm going to Tequesta, here you go. I'm going to the West Coast, here you go. They want everything to be the same. I don't think it'll never get there, but we gotta do what we gotta do. And just like, the county started probably, 10 years ago with the uniform application. Most towns use it. We didn't, I don't think we used it here, but we'll accept it, but that's what the state's looking for, or the contractors are lobbying to make everything so it's all easy for them.
In a nutshell, that's it.
It's a,
But also ultimately less costly for the homeowner.
well, it depends, because if like like the town of Palm Beach has instituted 60 new fees.
Mm,
So,
to cover.
yeah, it's gonna be less, that's because you're not doing
Ridiculous.
evaluation, but then the fees kick in. You know, the fee for this, fee for that. And if you look at the last page, you'll
Where's,
see,
what is that?
this is the
That's just,
Palm Beach. I printed it out off the,
that's part of the email I sent just for informational purposes, but go ahead and take a look at
they
that if you
went
like.
from technology fee. They make a change from 2% to 4% now. And with a technology fee, that's the last.
You've heard about the housing affordability issue right across the country.
Mhm.
So I think this is part of that larger national effort,
Mhm.
Yeah, let me say.
which Mike disagrees.
That's going to tell the lobbyists and all that. This is for like tract homes and all that. We don't have that here. You know, we
Exactly.
got single family lots.
Yeah.
So it's for these big
Development.
contractor developers are just going, here's all my 100 plans.
Yeah.
See you in a week. That's what they're doing, or that's what they want.
That's true. Okay, so what the laws do, so on this slide, as you see, they increase transparency. This is the intent from Tallahassee. And they promote standardized practices and limit certain fee practices. And what the laws do not do is eliminate local building permit fees completely. And they do not prohibit municipalities from recovering the actual costs of providing building services. And they do not replace Florida's established cost recovery framework. Okay, next slide.
So which means we have to establish a fee schedule,
Mhm.
Right.
which takes a lot of time.
It takes some time and, you know,
Is
trying to
the
get that
tech- is the
done.
Technology charge new?
Yes, I want to talk to you about that.
All right, so the first,
So the next slide, stay with me.
Oh.
Okay. So the next slide is new fee calculations. This is what the state is offering. They're saying, hey, move away from, you know, just saying you're only going to charge based on what something, the value of the thing. We need you to look at the square footage of the model as well. So there's two different aspects, looking at the square footage models, and also you can look at compliance fees. So square footage models also fall underneath the International Code Council. And as you can see, it's a nonprofit association that develops these models so everybody can use them. Compliance fees are what the towns are introducing, basically administrative fees to cover the actual labor costs and consultants who process the work. So when you take a look at this slide in front of you, the background shows you an example of what the metrics that the ICC, the International Code Council, provides. And this is established not just internationally, but Florida's building codes also adopted it within their building codes. And so it gives you square footage construction costs based on what it is that's being built. And so Mike, as the building official, will identify which column the project falls into. And then by association within the metrics there, you'd be able to know what dollar amount per square foot he would then use for the methodology to find out what the final permit cost will be, along with a multiplier. And we had to look at our historic information. And luckily, we've done a pretty good job of buying software in the past. So congratulations again to this commission for doing the right things along the way. And this software has enabled us to go back and figure out what this multiplier is. And so ICC says we needed to go back and find out the construction value over a period of a year. So Danielle was kind enough to pull June 1st, 2025 through this past June 1st, 2026. And the town had almost $35 million in construction value.
It's
And
not just new construction, right? That's-
correct,
Okay.
correct. And then we have to take another multiplier, and that is the $700,000 that we have, as you know, in our budget as projected revenue for this upcoming fiscal year. And dividing it, it gives us that multiplier of 0.02023. In essence, is resulting in that fee factor of $20.23 per every $1,000 of construction value. So simple. See how that is? That. We will work with our software to try and incorporate this. We're going, in order to make this work right now with the software that we have, we will be using Excel spreadsheets on the side. There are other software brands that are incorporating this type of methodology and also some other AI products. So in next year, I think a lot of vendors will be circulating in Florida trying to sell us updated information. And you know, if it makes sense, I'll bring it to you. If we're able to get this done with just Excel spreadsheet on the side, we'll just keep doing it this way for now. Okay, can move on.
So I got a question. Whoop. Can we go back to
Yep,
that
sure.
previous slide? So how does the town deal with, even previous to this, somebody comes in and says the house is gonna cost $1 million, right? And then it ends up costing 1.2 million. So how do you capture that 200,000,
I
you
would,
know?
I would let
Do you
Danielle speak
issue the
to it, but
permit?
what they do is they have to do an affidavit. Right, there's an affidavit that starts the process where
Yeah.
they identify how much they believe the project will be. As it changes, they are committed to coming in and making those changes, or our building official looks at something and says, wait a minute, this needs to be updated, and he might have to prompt that conversation. But there's checks and balances, and at the end of the project, before they get their CO, that can be trued up.
So then you can true the fee up through the process. Okay, and that's how we ended up at 34 million was the final price?
Yes.
Well, that's if they bring in any revisions or things like that. I mean, it's not a automatic. They have to bring in a revision, like, okay, we're gonna change this. It's revision to the permit.
Mhm.
And then you get a fee. So say they don't do that. And then Mike goes out at the end and does a final inspection, like, oh my gosh, you added this room, you did this room, then he can
You
recalculate
added a
that.
pool or something like that, yeah.
Well, no, because then that's a separate permit.
Mhm.
Wow.
Check. Not $84,000.
That's the value.
So they paid the percentage of the 84.
They paid the. extra
Which house is
2%.
that? 6273?
So it looks like 2% is,
That's,
Yeah.
yeah. So then taking a look, I just wanted you to see, it's just a couple pages that this International Code Council provides, and it gives you some backup information, which I emailed to you, but I'll give it to you this way. And then it gives you the chart. And this is what Mike works off of just about every day anyway, so. There we go.
it seems to me it's gonna make it harder
That's
to,
different. Oh,
Yes.
for a regular homeowner to figure out.
Those charts, the values are lower than what we're building. Usually.
Which one's
That's the
that?
national chart.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying that's a lower figure than actual cost.
All right.
County taxes.
Right.
But either way, isn't this something we have to do no matter?
We have to
what?
do it no matter what, correct? And again, this comes back to, in the same way that that home and that particular permit that Mike was just speaking with you about trued up at the end, as we're moving through, this is where staff is going to have to continue to come back to you and say, we're making more, we're bringing in more revenue than we're spending, so we need to true down. But more likely, we're going to come back to you and say, the revenue that's coming in is not enough to cover the costs. Here's what the costs actually are. And so now we need to identify where those gaps are and how we can best correct it. And we'll try, between now and, you know, when we get a gap, we'll try and identify those and bring it back sooner than later. I don't foresee us going negative. I mean, we'll have time to make it up. We just will need to true it up in the same way that we do anything else.
So what does
balancing the budget.
Danielle fit in the,
Danielle, as far as being our software guru, before, remember, she worked for many years in building.
yes,
And so she is the most competent in our organization on understanding the processes of building permits in themselves, and then how, and the nexus to how we charge people.
so what I'm getting at is when you do the calculation of operational cost, is Danielle including that?
She's part of it,
Part
yes.
of
And I'm going to show you that too. All right, so do our existing systems adequately track staff time, workflows, and operational costs? So here's a neat thing. The answer is yes, and sometimes no. the larger cities, as you know, have much more software, but they also have many more people. The tracking the time that it takes to process a permit for either an individual, like say one item, a pool or something, or a full home is very difficult for many cities because they have such a big team. And for ours, we just got a couple people, so go ahead. Our software makes it a little more easy. So what we did is go into Paychex, and they actually provide the labor cost to us. So here you see, I just gave you a snapshot of a short bit of time, but it can provide us the information that shows our building clerk's labor cost per hour come out to 48.47. And then the next slide, and the building clerk's supervisor in their time comes out to 66.89. And that's the total labor cost. So go to the next one, which gives us our cost recovery methodology, where we have to show the state how we decide what our administrative fees should be. And so if we say that our building clerk will take approximately an hour to review all of the documents that come in for a new home, and the supervisor may need to take half hour to do further reviews. Now, this will be not just in that first initial, handing over the paper. This is actually the entire year that they are processing their paperwork. An hour and a half is about what the state wants us to spend on it. So we're looking at about $81.92. So we rounded it down to $80 for the administrative fee. We think that's being conservative, and we think the state would be happy with that number. And again, you can see right there, I'm causing a gap, right? So I'm charging an administrative fee of $80, but in actuality, if it's a full hour and a half, it's going to be $81.
But this is just for the private provider submission.
Yes,
Because regularly it would be a lot more than that for oversee the permit.
correct. But we won't have to give the big discounts on the other one without the private one. Okay, next one. And then our building official worked with us to show the services he performs, which you can see on the checklist. You all know the compliance that he offers. He's also going to offer oversight and coordination. His role with a private provider is basically reviewing the information and the paperwork that they submit. And that's it. And if he makes a determination that he needs to go out and inspect for safety, he absolutely can do that. And along the way, if they ask him to please come and do an inspection or kind of stand next to us for something, he can do that. But they never do, apparently. Yeah, they want that. So his flat fee rate for them will be the $150, 2-hour minimum. Okay. Other fee changes that the state's asking us to incorporate is this one exemption here where qualifying single-family residential projects valued at $7,500 or less are entirely exempt from requiring a building permit. Well, that is in effect in most cities and towns and will not be in effect here in Ocean Ridge because one of the exemptions is if it's partially or fully in a flood zone. And so as our building official has told us, our entire town is considered a flood zone. And so we don't have to worry about that exemption at this time. Okay. Other private provider discounts that the state has identified is any inspections or any other mandates that we put in as a town, they would still qualify for up to 50% off. And we would work with Mike to identify those as we go along. HB 803 also says, hey, we need you to turn these permits around faster. Cities face now permit turnaround days of 5 days as a goal, and that is our goal internally, 5 days. And we do have up to 30 days on a few items, but in an effort to really offer the exceptional experience, we are moving in the direction of a turnaround time of 5 days. Before this recent change, we've been turning things around in about 10 days. And just as a, yes, please, but come to the microphone, please.
Might get a come like
The zoning board approves the project or gives them the go-ahead. Then they submit the plans and they say, okay, I got 5 days. So then zoning has to look at it and engineering. So I don't know if there's a way at the board meeting that we could kind of approve it. And just when it comes in with this private provider, just make sure that what they said they're doing is, you know, the height and the setbacks all meet, so we don't have to, you know, waste time trying to figure it out, or, and then they'll be calling us and saying it's not ready, and then you owe us money, and we don't want to do that.
So you're saying that you want, the review would be done at the plan and zoning stage?
Oh, not, yeah, not totally, but you basically give them the approval then, so. It just might save us some time later. I want to actually submit the permit. I was just been thinking about that. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work,
Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
My only exception with that is that when they're submitting those plans, those are just preliminary. They're not the actual plans. So unless we require them to submit their actual plans, that would be the only way we could
all
do
right,
that.
well, maybe we could work on it, but it's not like we got hundreds of them coming in, but
The other thing is when they say 5-day turnaround, it doesn't mean that it has to be approved in 5 days. It just means that we have to respond in 5 days. And so even if it's a denial or it says we need more commentary, it goes back. We just have to turn it around in that 5 days.
Yeah.
The issue, the punitive part for us as an organization, and then I'll ask Christy to clarify as well, is if we don't turn it around within those 5 days or within the 30 days, whichever the identifier is, our punishment could be that it's automatically approved. Permit is automatically set, you know.
Yeah,
No,
and
it's just
we fee for a chart. We lose the fee as well. Isn't that
No,
what the
in
last?
that part, no, it just automatically gets approved by
Yeah,
default.
that's just review, that's just the review process, that's not the actual, so the,
it was just an
Giving-
idea. I don't want to horse everybody up.
Well, our board is an architectural board, so Christy, your thoughts? No.
I mean, the problem that we face is, and this happens all the time, is at the planning and zoning board level, what's submitted to them is not the same thing that's submitted to the building official. And I don't believe the town wants to start requiring that, because often what happens is you go to the planning and zoning board, you get comments and you have to, pivot on your plans based on those comments. And then once they get approved, then you actually go to your construction docs and finalize those. So you are saving the property owner a lot of time and money by not requiring the construction documents at the planning and zoning level. And as you know, sometimes people decide for whatever reason not to go forward even after they get planning and zoning approval. So if you were to require those construction documents at planning and zoning, it's a lot more costly for the property owner to do so. So what we're now constrained with is review processes at both the planning and zoning level and the building permit process, which does put more pressure on staff to be able to turn these things around a lot quicker, which is another consideration to take into, looking at how much time things are really taking folks and whether or not the town needs to employ more people in this building division to turn these things around quicker. And so that's the give and pull in this scenario.
so I have a question. I just want to make crystal clear is that in 30 days, we're not giving them the permit when they come in and giving them a permit, because you couldn't, if you turn it around, you brought a permit in and you gave them comments and they waited 25 days to give you comments back, how can you give them the permit?
Right. There's a
There's
time
a
frame.
caveat there
Right.
about
There's a
that.
time frame that takes into effect what we don't get hit for that time frame when it's in their hands and they're supposed to be providing a response or comments.
But we have to provide a response within the 30-day period.
Response.
Response.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to clear up.
But if the.
It's like chess.
But if they
time
come back-
Depends on
Like
the
speed chess.
size of the request. Yeah.
So but when, say Manny reviews it, and he's got a list of comments this long, and they have to come back with filling out all those comments. And then the town goes back and gives them the comments back, and it starts all over again.
Yeah.
So their permit issuance could be 60, 90, 120 days, whatever it takes to get the comments back and forth.
And
I
this
just-
determines 5 or 30, like it says by project type.
Right, there's a long list in the back. Yeah,
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're.
It's a, as long as it's a response, we can handle it.
Right.
And I'm sure you guys will take care of some type of, like, what if Mike's on vacation, Kelly's on vacation, et cetera, et cetera. It has to still be done. There has to be a response ready, like maybe a boilerplate.
Oh, yeah, Manny too, he do. I mean, all three came here on vacation at the same time. I think that's.
What I saw is some of these other towns, they wait till the 29th day and then kick it out to them. Hey, here you go. Just to throw a wrench in it. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to streamline everything. But I know some other towns do that.
They do. They do.
To answer your question, Commissioner Cassidy, within 5 business days, it's work that is less than $15,000. Within 30 business days, it's structures that are less than 7,500 square feet. Within 60 business days, it goes on and on. Okay. Structures, if their permit structure is 75 feet or more, and then it goes on and on for multifamily. So for each one, we have to identify it differently. It's all part of the
Wow.
It's all part of the state statute, which is this thick.
Well,
That's it, right there. I told you I was gonna make this quick, so let's keep moving. So for tonight, initially in your backup information, we had the resolution ready to be read with the permit fee. But what I'd prefer to do, if it's okay with you, is satisfy the intent of complying with the July 1st law by getting your permission to change methodologies as the state wants us to. And then for your July meeting, we come back with the resolution that has the proper information in there of the changes. But it felt like this was a 2-step process as I started to look at it. And so I thought it was better. And again, along the intent of what the state wants to do. So I'm going to read this out loud. So if you are in agreement with it and you want to make the motion, you can just say as stated. Okay. So the motion that staff is requesting is that you accept the ICC permit fee multiplier of 0.02023 as derived from the town's targeted building department revenue requirements of 700,000 and the historical construction value of $34,608,618 for permits issued between June 1st, 2025 and June 1st, 2026. That is a square footage model. I'd also asked for the motion to be inclusive of new technology charge of 0.5% of permit fee, a compliance fee, and we can speak to that. And also include the new private provider fees, which would be the private provider compliance, audit, cooperation, and oversight fee, which would be our building official fee, basically, flat fee of $150, and the town administrative fee of $80. And that would be what I'd ask you for. And as you know, no town inspection fees shall be charged for inspections performed by an approved private provider pursuant to that Florida State Statute 553.791.
So
As far as the permit, okay. I can't interrupt that.
Yeah, second.
oh, second.
Under discussion.
Any
real
public
quick.
comment?
Thought we were gonna read it.
No, I read through some of the material. I don't think I committed it all to memories, but how does, on these bigger projects like the Ocean Club and the condo, if they're going to hire a construction management company, I assume, and they are going to do the
Private part.
inspections per the code to be sure it's built correctly, particularly where they are on the coast. How does that arrangement affect the revenue to the town on a project that size? I mean, are they going to be charged for inspection fees? No, they're going to have a private provider. So what is the town end up getting from those projects? Are they getting a percentage of the total cost?
And that is what we're still working towards. So the
Yeah.
answer is yes, we get a percentage of the total cost using that ICC model that we were talking about earlier, where it identifies the square footage, but it's a predetermined amount and it's nationally recognized.
And is there a cap? And you're talking millions of dollars, right?
This,
Yeah, exactly.
the revenue income
2%.
Yeah,
will be
of the
less.
total cost of the construction.
And that's just the variable that they're
But that-
working on, just to get up something.
And that includes all the exemptions that the statute, this arrangement has with a private provider and a private construction management company and all that.
That's the idea. Because I think it's.
Was it a good question?
It is a good question. But I think it's what's gonna happen is you're gonna end up, it's gonna end up being, have to be tweaked all the way,
Yeah.
all the way around.
Because we'll be tweaking various fees to make up for the unforeseen shortfalls.
So, and just to put a star on that.
I'm
Hey,
a
buddy.
little confused on projects that don't cost too much. They don't have to come for a permit. What's going to keep them from avoiding some of our property boundaries and rules and regulations?
Because
They
they
don't
gotta
have
come
to
for a
con-
permit because it's the flood zone. So they will still have to come get a permit.
And they have to meet all the requirements.
All the requirements the town has.
If it's cheap.
Yes.
Yes.
So just to ask a real stupid question that Michael know the answer to, no matter what's the size of the project, we're flood zone, so they have to get a permit for virtually anything. Okay.
And it's under this $7,500 exemption. It's still gonna need a regular building permit or whatever it is, a fence or whatever.
Well, that's a Florida State statute.
Yeah,
That came in a couple years
Yeah.
ago.
yeah, if you have an AC unit now and then it's on the ground below the floodplain, then you have to put a stand under it when you replace it.
Mhm.
So what, just curious, what is that based upon? How far up do you have to go? Like, I think every.
Depends on the area. Most of it's
Finished
like
flood?
7
I think
feet.
I'm at that. That's all you have to get? It's not like 3, 5, 4 feet up? Like in Briny, you
No.
know, they have all those stilts underneath
No,
there.
if say the flood zone is 7 feet, then that stand has to be, the top of the stand has to be at 7 feet.
7
If it's 10 feet, then you gotta be at 10 feet.
Because if you built your house at 9,
Yeah,
your air conditioner's gotta be at 9. So you
Yeah.
need to finish 4 hours of shit.
yeah.
Well, yeah, they could put it on a bracket on the wall, yeah.
All right, let's get back to our. So that motion was just a motion for something that, Michelle came up with. That's not the resolution.
Okay.
Read it.
So the resolution I'll ask for us to bring it back in July.
Okay.
So that is complete.
So are you reading the resolution? Are you ready to read the resolution?
We're not going to read the
We're
resolution.
not reading
We're just, do we get a motion to
to cover
have
them
the
all?
resolution in July? That's basically it, right?
Okay.
Nope, the motion that you made is what I read about adding the ICC methodology for the collection
Yeah.
of the permit
The 3
fees.
points you made,
Correct.
but the resolution includes, and this
It will
will be
include
on the
that.
July agenda.
Correct. So that'll be added to the resolution with the final determinant, other fees as Mike identifies in the next couple days. And you're set to roll a roll if you like. Clear as mud
That's it?
There's,
for now.
You need a vote.
Yes, we do. No, I think we already made the motion. We
We get
gotta,
a second?
we had a
We've had
second.
public discussion?
And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And
And
Betty-
you were confused, Betty.
I was told, I'm on Betty's side on this one.
So lastly on that, so your staff is working hard together and working with other agencies to get the information and as, clearly as we can. But we may have to come back to you and say that, a fee study is necessary. We're trying to avoid that because, the fee study is quite costly and it takes a lot of time. But I think that we're in a position where we can really take a look at what we're spending. And as long as we are able to work with Mike to understand how often he has to touch these items and how frequently he has to go out there, we'll get it right.
Yeah, well, Michelle, you had a great thought today. I was here. Michelle said we should wait on the fee study because imagine all the other towns will have to do their own
They'll
fee
get some.
studies. We could just grab their fee study.
Everybody's doing it now, so it's
I thought that's a great
it's
idea.
really taking. Thank you.
Hey, well, thanks, Danielle, Callie.
Yeah.
Michelle, and a lot of work. I see it's gonna end up being a lot more work in the future too. Christie, didn't forget you. Thank you.
It's primarily them.
All right, is there anything else?
Yeah. Yep.
I gotta.
I'm lost.
Item 5. Oh, 4, sorry.
Oh. Approval of the ordinance of first reading.
Nope, number 4.
You want to read that? Kate?
Sure.
This for approval of resolution 2026-03, I'm sorry, 07. Resolution It's a resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, amending the adopted schedule of fees for various services and providing for repeal of conflicting resolutions and effective dates. This is basically just trying to clean up the admin and PD side. Did I read them? Yeah, I read them. So if you look under the town clerk section, we added the unity of title / unity of control processing fee. Has it been to make it officially established in our fee schedule? We've been charging it, but it's not been in there. Then under the public records request for the town hall and police department, the admin time for the hours, we did have a rate in there, but it should actually be per the statute, needs to be changed as the rate of the actual personnel that is doing the public records requests, of course, minus the first 15 minutes. Then we're using an email extraction fee. We used to be at 105 for our previous IT company. The one we have now is actually $5 cheaper, so I was just correcting that.
Is it email extraction fee mean all emails from an email box?
Correct. Anything that is
That
town,
pertains to the request?
yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
And then we changed the fees for to reflect any public records that need to be reviewed by the town engineer and town attorney. We set that as just a contracted amount instead of a rate. Under the community standards hearing administrative costs, the code enforcement hearing fees have been updated to reflect the first violation versus the repeat violation. The additional category of the other witnesses hourly rate has been added. And we also implemented the reduction requests. So if someone were to go in and request a reduction of their fines, we have a hearing fee for that one. As well as a fee for the official records recording of the actual cost. And that would be it.
So is number 3 something we discussed like 6 months ago? Because people would get a code violation, like for instance, I think we're talking Airbnbs, and then they jump to a new service and it wasn't a continuation of their bad behavior. It started afresh every time. So that's what number 3 says it's repeat code.
If you're found in violation by the magistrate and then within 5 years you violate the same code
Right.
section, it's considered a repeat violation.
With higher penalties.
Yeah, yeah.
That takes care of the Airbnb. Yeah.
Any other question? Public comment?
Want to make a motion first?
I figure I'll just go with public comment. I know if somebody's gonna say something, it's Terry, so. Yeah. Terry, you gotta say
You
something.
didn't have to. You caused him to get up.
Well, he needs his exercise.
I haven't studied it recently, but in the old days, when you wanted a public record, you came to the counter and asked for the public record. And if it didn't require any research, going to the record storage room, going to the computer, you didn't have to tell anybody who you were. The record would be produced and you would pay the fee for the copying. And that's still the arrangement.
That's still the arrangement.
That's the confusing thing. People think you have to go through a lot of process to get a copy of a public record.
Mm-mm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor and Commission, you know what I learned at the conference last month that I never had learned or knew before? There are now bots out there that generate public records requests. And so
Just to cause trouble.
with that, and also like what the chief has told about before, where there are influencers out there that want, for instance, their body cam. And so they'll start with a query, put in a public records request, and then their bot knows that when they get the request answered, then they ask a series of other questions built on top of that. So that they could keep getting a build of information. And oftentimes it's not even a person behind this public records request any longer. And so now all of this technology software that we were seeing at the conference also answers that by having the opportunity to have AI answer many of these public records.
So it's.
Right. Yeah, so you do that, but then you still need to have somebody look because there's a lot of information that has to be redacted coming out of the town hall information. Yeah,
It's.
Yeah,
and that's what's
I
happening.
put it on TikTok.
So it's all for their social media content?
yeah.
That's a big driver of business now. And so you, any given day you come in and you'll see Trina, most of what she does now, most of what she does is answering these, what I think are bots. As I read it, we're starting to identify it now. It's like,
Wow.
okay, this looks like it's auto-generated.
If you ID it as a bot, you can ignore it.
No, we have to still
still
answer
have to
anything that
answer.
comes in.
Do you want to make a motion on the board?
I'll just.
I
read.
move to approve resolution 2026-07 as presented.
Second,
Motion and second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. I think that's it.
As a reminder,
one more,
One more.
Another one?
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see them.
number 5.
Mr. Mayor, this is
Reasonable.
this is the ordinance 2026-03, where we are complying with the state mandate as set forth in section 397.487 to add certified recovery residences to the town's existing reasonable accommodation process. This was mandated by the Florida statute, by the Florida legislature in 2025. And what it requires us to do and what's proposed in the ordinance is to amend section 67-206 to clarify that the town's reasonable accommodation procedures are applicable to certified recovery residences. We also are amending the process to clarify some of the issues that are also mandated by the new law. And also to clarify that one of the issues for the town of Ocean Ridge is the fact that we don't allow transient vacancies or vacation rentals. So one of the foundations of the town of Ocean Ridge's neighborhoods is that it's a non-transient character. We put that in the ordinance to make it clear that anyone who comes in to apply for reasonable accommodation, they have to abide by that foundation for the town's neighborhoods. So it's clarifying that issue as well. And so if you have any questions regarding our compliance with the state mandate, I'm happy to answer them.
So a question just about the way recovery residences operate. So along those lines of the 30-day minimum, someone comes into a residence for 30 days and they've had it, they leave. And then the residence has someone else come in within that 30 days because the other person left. How do you control that? Because that happens all the time.
So the way I've seen that controlled to the best of your ability, because that's the same thing with a vacation rental. It's hard to control and enforce that kind of issue. But through the reasonable accommodation process, you go before the special magistrate and she, in this case, would set forth an order that would specifically address what the reasonable accommodation is for the certified recovery residents. And then the town would have conditions on that. One of the conditions you often see is a required safety plan. And the safety plan would address what happens when someone leaves. And then you would also have to address the residency requirement. We could install a condition if we felt that this was the type of entity that had often had people leaving early. We could try to add conditions to that order to ensure that there's a way to enforce that. Just by way of example, I just worked on one for another city, and what we do is we give the chief of police the ability to say that if there's security issues arising from it or calls for service that arise from that location, that he can require additional security at the location.
provided by the facility.
Yes, provided by the facility at their cost and expense. So it's, unfortunately, can we always prevent them from maintaining a 30-day resident for all of their folks that are, at the home? No, just like we can't always require a vacation rental to be for 30 days or longer. So it's an enforcement issue, and all we can do is try to create conditions that they have to abide by. And if they violate, then we take them through code enforcement to try to have their order revoked.
Not specifically, but
They sign contracts.
but they really only pay for 7. Yeah,
Want a motion?
So unless there's really trouble being caused, really, how you gonna know? Chief? Do not.
You want a motion?
No motion. Yeah.
I move to approve ordinance 2026-03 on first reading.
second,
Motion
need-
second.
I need to read the ordinance.
Public comment?
You gotta be,
I need to read the ordinance.
Okay.
Ordinance 2026-03, an ordinance of the Town Commission of the Town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, amending Chapter 67, Building and Building Regulations, Article 7, Building Standards, Division 3, Occupancy Limitations, Section 67-206, Reasonable Accommodation Procedures to include certified recovery residences to comply with Section 397.487, Florida Statutes 2025, and to update the procedures, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, codification, and an effective date.
do I need to remake the motion?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. I believe that is all.
now you're at the end, yes.
Well, and,
Thank you, everybody for coming. Motion, meeting adjourned. See you next month.
don't
Way off.